So what do you think your top tips for businesses would be? If they've got outstanding debtors and the stress, what do you think maybe three top tips of what people should do at the moment and to both prevent it, but also if they've got that debt at the moment?
One, don't assume that your debtor's got the money. It's okay, they'll pay. That's a terribly bad set of circumstances to be. And the reason being that for every 7 days a client's debt remains outstanding to you, your ability to convert that by yourself to actually get that money in without external help falls by 50%. It's
You've got to
actually
act
exactly
fast.
the same way as this, yeah. So it's actually the same as the sales thing. If you've got a quote with a client, every 7 days that quote isn't converted, your ability to convert it falls by 50%. The same thing happens in collections. So I mapped a bunch of data around that to see what it would look like, thinking it might be different, and it's absolutely identical. So the first tip is don't assume that the client's got the money, and the earlier that you get involved in saying, hey, what's going on? Have you got issues? The more likely you are to get honesty out of that client. The more you're thinking about yourself when you're making that call, the less likely you're open to hearing or getting a hint from them about the fact that they're struggling.
And for me, it's not ignoring it, eating that frog as hard as it might be, and finding experts. Finding people. I think that this world that we work and live in is very difficult now. It's so much more complicated than it ever used to be. So finding
Yep.
the right person to help with the right problem, and getting that shield. If it's too hard for you to face, having someone in place to help you move forward and eat the frog and do the thing that you didn't want to do, and how much better you'll then feel as soon as that's off your shoulders and you've got someone else in place.
And my second top tip here would be make sure you've got a fairly robust set of terms and conditions. So you might never need to action on them, but without the right set of terms and conditions, actually collecting from somebody who's unwilling to pay rather than willing to pay, and there's a big difference between that. I mean, I might want to pay, but I can't, is a very different conversation to I could pay, but I don't want to. So having the right set of terms and conditions for your type of business is really important. You might end up spending a couple of grand with your lawyer to get those developed, but that puts you in such a stronger position with your clients should the worst come about. So in the event of worst case scenario, you're in a much stronger position if you've got a set of terms and conditions. So if, heaven forbid, you end up in court and looking for a decision, a judge can compare the two contracts and decide what's fair and what's not fair.
Yep.
So
And it's the same we would say when doing an application to get rid of the interest and penalties. A phone call is not enough. It all comes down to these things called legal practice requirements, which again is the law. So not that I'm practicing as a lawyer anymore, but that legal blood will always run through my veins. That is helpful, and that's often what it comes back to.
well, I'm increasingly practicing as a redhead, as you can see by the amount of grey coming into my beard these days. So that doesn't necessarily quite work as well for me. But certainly the old high school teacher in me comes out a great deal when we're talking to people. Let's actually figure out what's going on and how that's going on. And my third tip is find your specialists early, right? Talk to your
Yeah.
accountant, talk to those people, ask people, hey, what have you observed about my business? I want to talk to you about what's happening in my business. Go and have those conversations with people because most of them are obligation free. And
Yeah.
then that way you can get a whole heap of different perspectives around how you can approach people if there's a situation going on in your business, or they'll be thinking about who they can refer you to so they can talk to a tax assurer or an AGP to help them out.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more.